What is up, everybody? Welcome to Truth and Transparency. Today is, Wednesday. Wednesday, a little midday. We're going to be talking about the James Patterson book here for a little bit. Well, all 435 pages have been digested, making a nice little spreadsheet here for everybody. What is good? Tonight, hopefully you guys join me, whoever else is out there, a little bit later. The top 25 points of the book, according to Lana. There's like 130 some chapters, so what is up, Yuri? What is up, mods? Wow. Okay. So, I hate to say that I told you guys so, but dude, I called their lives for the past 3 years, mainly in 2022, 2023, when we were talking about the years and leading up, but it's even a touch better because I love that Kaylee told off the sorority house. Okay. So what this lovely spreadsheet is all about is it's whatever chapter it is, whatever page you can find it on, the date of like when it actually happened and occurred in their lives, and then what I think is my find or important hint, clue, whatever. And then over here is what the purpose is for this chapter. So I want to start with chapter fucking 18 because you guys, Friday night, they did not go to any formal. They did not go to the Pi Phi formal. Okay. They fucking trolled the Pi Phis. Now you have to understand why they'd ever do something like this. Chapter 18. Don't worry, I have one book that is perfectly in perfect condition for a first edition, and then I have my markup book. Dude, I loved every second of this. So Friday night, they did not go to the Pi Phi formal. Okay. They motherfucking trolled the Pi Phis. When I say they, Maddie, Kaylee, Dylan, just everybody that was at that house, they got all dressed up to go to a black tie affair and acted like they were going to go to the Pi Phi formal. And if you were hearing interviews from the Gonzalez's, yeah, they went, so they were going to go to Dylan, was going to be, Kaylee was Dylan's plus one, and they're going to go down to this formal, and I'm just like, man, something just does not seem right to me about that. Okay. Because I knew that they were just not in the sororities anymore. And I'm like, dude, like that would cause a serious like shit show. So what is this chapter say? Chapter 18? One of my favorite chapters of the book. Dude, the residents of 1122 King Road started pre-gaming around noon on Friday. So remember the whole thing about Kaylee not going down until a little bit later on Friday? I'm curious of what time. Remember, it was like she didn't know if she wanted to go. She was debating on whether or not to go. I still want to hear more about that. None of that was talked about in this book. But so here they start pre-gaming at noon on Friday. That's early. They have no intentions of going to the official formal. And I'm reading this. I'm like, okay, do tell. So they have no intentions of going to the official formal. So then I go back and pull up Maddie's post on social media, and she's like, formalities is what she titled the picture of her and Dylan from Friday. That would entail taking a bus ride and staying sober beforehand in the sorority house. The older girls who officially left Pi Phi the year before, ding, 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 Lana. Woo! We knew that. check. Do the transparency. You right. Me and Bella were all over that. We knew that. We didn't need to even talk to anybody. We knew. So the older girls left Pi Phi the year before, so they wouldn't even be allowed in. The youngest two, Dylan and Bethany, prematurely left the house to live off campus. Remember, this is the other thing, is how in the world were Dylan and Bethany able to live off campus as sophomores? Because you have to live in the house your freshman and sophomore year, and then you can live off as a junior and a senior. But guess what? You still have to pay the money to the sorority. Listen to this Greek life shit, okay? So not only do you have to pay for your own apartment off campus, if you don't want to live in that house your junior and senior year, you still have to pay like you're living there. Yeah, suck my tits, okay? Well, it gets better, all right? So we said it 2-3 years ago. We said, how in the world did Dylan and Bethany, how did they finagle this? That they didn't have to live at the house. Again, their sophomore year. And right here. So you go back to, it says the youngest two, Dylan and Bethany, prematurely left the house to live off campus. And then just says, and are loyal to Maddie, Xana, and Emily, because those are the Pi Phis. So they won't receive a warm welcome. Well, are they even welcome? So you guys, they had their own formal at their house. Okay. But pretended and trolled the actual Pi Phis like they were going to show up at their formal and cause like a problem. They pretended and acted like they were going to. That's why they were posting, I'm going to be Dylan's +1. Kaylee's going to be Dylan's +1. Remember why it was like, well, why wouldn't Maddie just take Kaylee? You know, well, because Maddie's not in the motherfucking sorority house anymore, right? So that's why they used Dylan's account to say that Dylan was going to take Kaylee as a +1. I fucking love it. See this type of shit, dude. This is the type of shit me and my friends would do. Like, we don't buy our friends. The fuck, man. So check this out. Freshman year for Maddie and Kaylee, 2019. Then it goes into 2020. That's when COVID hits. And Kaylee is exactly what I would have done. Kaylee's supposed to be back in chapter. Let me see. What chapter is it? Chapter 3. Chapter 3, Kaylee decides that she's going to have a little meeting with their president because in their freshman year, they get a bid. So Kaylee goes one way in a house and Maddie goes into a different house. Well, guess what? Kaylee and Maddie, their freshman year, that was COVID once 2020 hit in March. And guess what the fucking sororities made them do? Okay, so Kaylee over here, Kaylee says, few people in the Gonzalez family think COVID is the big deal that UI administrators believe it is, okay? The Gonzalez children have been raised not to trust the government or institutions. Like, dude, one of my favorite parts of the book. Fuck yeah. Like, listen, the Gonsalves kids were raised, okay? All right. Not to trust the government or institutions. They're libertarians. They live to bet on themselves. Kaylee's dad, Steve, works in IT at the hospital in Coeur d'Alene and an hour and a half north of Moscow. So over dinners at home, he tells the family that the only people who are dying in that hospital are those who have pre-existing conditions. Mostly they are obese. Okay. So now he thinks the university is making a mistake not letting the kids back. A lot of people that, you know what I mean? It's like, God, what, remember we shut down our whole country. I lost one of my whole businesses because of that shit. So does Kaylee. She thinks that everybody should be allowed to be back at the university, right? So during their freshman year, which would have been March now, the spring, is when, hey, y'all gotta leave, okay? 2020. As the weeks stretched on, her frustration grows. Paying to take college classes over Zoom is bad enough, but bills keep coming in from the that Alpha Phi house, the A-Phi or whatever they call themselves. She's livid. Kaylee is livid that she and her sisters are paying live-in dues. There's live-in dues and there's out dues or whatever. So they're paying live-in dues for the house that they're not even allowed to occupy. Okay, makes sense, right? Wait, why are we paying live-in dues? No one's allowed to be there. Why? We're not going to pay these live-in dues, right? Like, totally. Like, that would have been me. I'd have been like, fuck that. I'm not paying this. So following orders unquestionably is not a Gonsalves thing to do. Okay, like we got some questions here. So Kaylee inquires and she calls up the chapter president and says, why are they paying for nothing? Just keep it so simple as that. Why are we paying for nothing? Like, we have no problem paying, but what are we paying? What are we paying for? So why are we paying for nothing? If they can't get some of that money returned, Kaylee says she doesn't want to go back to the house in the fall, which the fall would then be your sophomore year. Okay. Which makes sense, right? Like, that would have been me, like, wait a second. And you guys are just being some cheap ass motherfuckers to fuck us like this, right? So they say the rules are the rules, the president tells Kaylee. The house won't negotiate, especially with a new sister. None of the sisters can move out of the house until they are juniors, their junior year, and have accumulated a certain number of service points. Even then, that administration, the one that she's involved in, the A-Phs or Phis or whatever the fuck they call themselves, they add another hurdle, which is sisters need to pay for both living in and living out. So in late August, which would have been 2020, her sophomore year, Kaylee stuck returning to that house, and it's litany of COVID health and safety protocols. You're not allowed to hug each other. There was like a list of rules, okay? Kaylee doesn't want to do the physical distancing or the regular testing or the mandatory quarantine procedures. None of it. But she's Kaylee, so she faces the reset head on and says, okay, let's just get back to it. You know, she's got to go back there. So this year, the girls who are rushing sororities have their smiles hidden behind masks. Okay. Coffee meetings are held on Zoom. You guys remember all this shit, right? So picture like doing it with college, man, that would have sucked. Okay. Hugging is not allowed. Hugging is not allowed. It's a fucking rule. Like, I'm loving this. Like, and Kaylee's like, this is ridiculous. Still, Kaylee takes on liking of the two of the freshmen that come in, and that's where we find out about two new people, which would be Emma and then Jaden. So we get through Emma and Jaden are eager to become Kaylee's littles, partly because of her extraordinary enthusiasm and can-do attitude. When Kaylee hears there might be an in-house quarantine one weekend, she whisks those two away and she's like, come on, let's just go to Coeur d'Alene. You guys, we're just going to go to my house. She takes them shopping, to concerts, for drinks, to coffee. So anyways, then we get to chapter 8, because this rolls all into this, how this all happened. Okay. So the reason that chapter 8 is important to get to this fucking aha moment, because it's just hilarious that they trolled the fuck out of them. So Kaylee lives at the house her sophomore year. Okay, and Maddie's living at her sorority house the sophomore year. According to the Gonsalveses, because Maddie's mom was not interviewed for this, but according to the Gonsalveses, Kaylee and Maddie are like playing the game with their social medias and acting like the reason that they don't believe that they got the same house is because what they do at IU is they split up friends, because it's like you're supposed to make new relationships type thing. And be like, fuck you, man. Okay. Imagine how much dirt Kaylee had on them. Yeah, she probably had shit ton of dirt, actually, right? So the reason that I believe Kaylee and Maddie did not get the same bid is because of the way that IU likes to separate you. If you're friends when you come in any place that I've ever been, like friends all rushed together and they got like picked. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like we went like, but here IU, they will separate you. So Kaylee gets one bid. So here we go, sophomore year. At the end of sophomore year, okay, Kaylee and Maddie are having a talk and they're like, they straight up, it's titled, and they say the words that it's, oh, where is it? Hold on. Okay. She says that both of these houses, but mainly Kaylee's, she's like, it's becoming mean girls over there. And in the book uses the term mean girls. Okay. So right here, I'm making one of these for you guys that are members of my channel. So you guys will have this. And it's Kaylee and Maddie right there. It's chapter 6, April of 2021. Or I'm sorry, 2021, yeah. And it's chapter 6. It's hilarious because here we go. Okay. Oh, wait. Is it actually chapter 7? No, it's chapter... Oh, I'm sorry. It's chapter 4. I need to change that. Chapter 4. Okay. Okay. The two are tiring of the enforced restrictions in this life that they had once wanted so badly. At a fee, I have a worse deal than you do, says Kaylee to Maddie, who is sympathetic. Under the stress of COVID restrictions, Kaylee explains the bitchiness for which the house is infamous is coming to the fore. Afy is turning into a nightmare version of Mean Girls, in quotes. Mean Girls, okay? I'm like, fuck, I knew it. This is exactly like, that's why we were like, we laugh. I was like, so, and then Maddie says, I hear you. We didn't sign up for this shit, okay? They begin to discuss their options for living off campus. Kaylee finds an apartment in the Whites, which we're going to talk about what the Whites are. Maddie's got her eye on a house right next to it, 1122 King Road, where some older pie-fies like Sophie, her big, and Ashlyn, her best friend in the house, are planning to move. The house sticks up on the hill like a finger. It's got a deck in the back, so it will make a fantastic party place. Even better, Maddie tells Kaylee it signifies freedom. It's going to be great. So they're like, hey, fuck this. This is like Mean Girls type shit. We're not signing up for this. Now, where this is all coming from, remember, the only person that could pretty much speak to this would be the people that were part of these interviews. So obviously, Maddie and Kaylee weren't part of them. Neither was Maddie's mom. So you're looking at Emily, the Gonsalves family. Then you're looking at Josie. Josie's on vacation far away. So here, I was like, fuck it. I knew this. We called this shit. I was like, dude, they're not with their sororities anymore. I was like, something fucking went south. Well, here, some of the reasons that would have went south is right off the rip. Kaylee's telling the chapter president that she's an absolute fucking bitch. Like, your rules suck. Like, you're making us pay. We're in COVID. Okay. Then come to find out when they did move off their junior years. So they're at the Whites, or Kaylee's at the Whites and has a roommate. And Jack D's over there a lot. And they get the dog. And and Maddie signs up and is like with the couch girl and people that were the upperclassmen from her sorority that moved out. And they have to pay both. So you have to have enough credit hours or enough service credit hours. You have to be a junior and you still have to pay dues. Okay. Then they just, at the end of junior year, they're done. Like, they're not even part of it anymore. That would be Xana, Maddie, Kaylee. They are not in any of their sororities at the end of the junior year. Okay. So when Hunter actually says, yeah, no, I don't think any of the girls that live here are in sororities, he's not lying. That's technically true. The question is how the fuck did Bethany and Dylan, basically, I think that the only way that you're living off campus, right, is did they just go ahead and say, well, fuck you? Like, we're not going to be in the sorority anymore. But if you go back and look at pictures, it's just interesting how Dylan and Bethany lived off campus as sophomores to be able to do it. So then we get to the night of the 11th, and we see all these pictures of all these people that are dressed up, and everybody thinks that they're going to this formal event and that Kaylee is going to be Dylan's plus one. So maybe they were like on their way out, but they weren't out yet. Maybe I would just love to know what Dylan and Bethany told them to be able to get out and not live there. Maybe they just said, fuck it. We'll pay your in dues, right? So they were paying in dues and paying over there. Their parents were like, we'll pay. I could see, I mean, Bethany's parents have a shit ton of money. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, on paper, we just live still technically at the house and we'll just spend our nights over there. Like, but we're just going to pay the in dues. Like, that's how I think that they could do it. I don't know if there's a rule that you have to spend so many nights. Like, you can't be gone. So if that was the case, maybe they would have to spend, like, if you're away for 3 nights and you have to be there for one day, for one night, go there. Okay. Now we know why Molly didn't talk to Kaylee at the grub truck. Molly was her little, right? Well, now we get to talk about some retaliation here. Okay, so think about this in the terms of now investigating. So you have all of these people. They're having a huge ass party on Friday night. They start at noon. Then I'm guessing that Kaylee didn't tell her parents what their plan was. Okay, because Kaylee's parents are like, we think that Kaylee goes to this formal event and that she's Dylan's plus one. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I'm going to go down there. And then she's being wishy-washy if she was going to go or not, but she really wanted to show the car off, whatever. Maybe Kaylee was being wishy-washy. She's like this, she knew what the plan was going to be and she didn't know if she wanted to be involved in it. Like, because if you have a formal, it's supposed to be like a big to-do. Everyone's going to go to that, right? But if you then throw your own formal party to pull people away from going to that formal, okay, and then you have everybody coming over to your house and all the people in here, we're going to have our own formal with a drop down, take pictures, but nobody knows that we're doing that. But that's really what's going to happen. But we're going to let everybody at the Pi Phi house think that we're actually crashing, like that we're coming there. Like, we got all these people then worried, like, oh my God, look at, they're all taking their pictures. They're all getting ready. They're coming to this thing. Like, oh my God, they're going to show up. They're going to show up. They just trolled them. They literally trolled them. And I'm like, this is fucking amazing. Okay, because when you read this book, I'm like, well, let's talk about chapter 18. I was like, wait a second. What do you mean it says they have no intention of going to the official formal. That would entail a bus ride and staying sober beforehand in the sorority house. Like, we're not interested in that. The older girls who officially left Pi Phi the year before wouldn't even be allowed in. The youngest two, Dylan and Bethany, prematurely left the house to live off campus and are loyal to Maddie, Xana, and Emily, so they wouldn't receive a warm welcome either. It's picture time. They use a white shower curtain as a high contrast backdrop for their LBDs, little black dresses. Though Xana, she's different. She likes to be different. So she was wearing a red dress. Maddie poses for a photo, and I put it up there on the cover of here. And it's, Maddie and Dylan. And then Maddie writes in formalities is like the caption. Then Kaylee poses with Dylan, but they don't talk about how Dylan writes, or it was Kaylee, Dylan's plus one. You guys, now do you see what that was all about? It's fucking hilarious. She trolled them. They both post these photos on Instagram. Those people, they would have been on Snapchat. Those people at the Pi Phi house would have been like, what the fuck are they doing? Okay. And now picture this. Picture me rolling. When Now I have so many questions about Bethany's car accident. Bethany isn't with Idaho people. She's with WSU people that are in a sorority with WSU. Okay. And so I don't know, maybe this is the parents are just saying, yeah, they all left, but maybe they really actually got kicked out, because of whatever they were doing. Who knows? But this book just says that the older girls who officially left Pi Phi the year before, they weren't even allowed to go. So the usual gang comes over: Emily, Josie, the Chapin brothers. Now you go look back through all those photos, and everybody and anybody that would have been at Xana's house, like, the 1122 King Road house that night on Friday night, there's no way that they were going to that formal. Because it seems like there's some rule here that you have to be at the house, staying sober beforehand, and be at the sorority house, because then you're going to get on a bus and you're going to go to wherever this formal was. So this was Friday night, but they started drinking for their personal formal, their pretend formal, at noon that day. Drinks are poured, more pictures are taken. 6 p.m. rolls around. They're all feeling particularly festive because tomorrow is game day. So they're off on the back deck. Maddie is filming a video of the Chapin brothers, Emily and Xana, shotgunning their drinks. The group is well on their way to getting drunk. Though the Vandals hardly ever win. I told you, win or lose, we still booze. That's their motto. The Vandals. Go Vandals. Win or lose, we still booze. Bring on the Borgs. So the Vandals, we don't care about that, but it's a local game, and everyone flocks usually to the Kibbe Dome. Chief Fry will even be there. So will the mayor. The parents with camper trailers host tailgate parties for the kids in the stadium parking lot. But tomorrow's weather forecast is bad, and the group has no access to a trailer tailgate. So their plan is to use the 1122 King Road roommate's house, and campus hop right around there, where the whites are. And now, remember how it was said that Ethan and Xana go to the football game? This book says that they did not. It says that at 8 a.m. Emily wakes up early and gets to the dome by 8:30 because she has to work the football game with the recruits. Okay, so she parties her ass off. Okay, and then she has to get up early and actually go work. She works for the football office. She is annoyed. She has to be separated from everybody. But Xana here is rallying the troops on campus, and then at 11:30 a.m. is summoning people urgently to get on over to King Road. Okay. She's texting everybody. And by noon, everyone's backed up and gathered at the King Road house. Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, Ethan, Dylan, Bethany, Hunter, Chapin, Josie, Lyndon, Peter, and Hunter Johnson. Okay. At 1 o'clock, they move the party over to the Whites, which is right across the street. When I say the street, just like their road to get to their house. And right on the other side of that, that's where they're called the Whites. So they moved the party over the Whites, where Emily and Josie's rooms are, and where there's Afy's house, they have a little apartment house there. Now, Xana and Ethan, they're there. Hunter Johnson goes to take pictures of them. He then puts his phone down at like 2:30, 4:30 in the afternoon. Doesn't realize that he leaves it there. Maddie grabs it with Dylan, and they start taking pictures on it. And because he's without his phone for like 2 hours, so he gets his phone back at 6:30. Hunter does. But the football game is at 4 o'clock, so it's like you're partying, you're drinking, you leave your phone down, and then Hunter Johnson goes over to at 2:30 is when that iconic picture was taken, by the way. But now here we go. Hunter Johnson is going to say, hey guys, you want to come with me to go to the game? I also have to pick up, his girlfriend because she was working it. So you want to come with me to the game? Hunter Johnson asks Ethan and Xana. He's going to meet Emily and bring her home with them, from the game. Ethan pretends to be distressed. No one cares about the actual game, only the tailgating. He says, I can't. He says, fake crying. I've got my sister's formal in a couple hours. So now listen to this. Now he's been drinking all night, drinking all morning, and now he has to get fucking ready to go be his sister's, date at her formal that's just going to be for a couple hours. So he's like, I can't. I've got my sister's formal in a couple hours. When Hunter leaves, that's actually the last time, according to this book, that Hunter actually sees Ethan, because the way that it works out is people end up not going out later. He doesn't end up meeting him back up at the Sigma Chi house, and so he stays home because Emily wanted to come home and take a nap after the game, and then would get up like I was telling you guys, people take naps, and so they'll do 2 sessions of drinking, and that's exactly what the plan was. But when Emily ended up waking up, it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and they're like, we're not going to just go over there for a couple hours. So, so here we get to this infamous 3:30 Venmo message that somebody's paying somebody for 3:30 a.m. Okay. You guys remember that? The infamous Venmos. And now I'm curious, if you're an investigator and you're like, okay, wait, you guys just seriously trolled the shit out of them. And then the next day after they would have trolled this shit as a joke for that sorority house, they're dead. Tell me that just doesn't throw a huge fucking wait, another wow, what a coincidence. The weekend that they would troll them, what? Right? And then you have these Venmos. At 7 p.m., this is on Saturday night, it's Theta's formal at the local brewery. Maisie is taking Ethan. Hunter Chapin is going with Maisie's roommate. Stacy's like, hey, send me a bunch of pictures. At 9 p.m., once the formal is over, the formals were only 2 hours. What the fuck? Getting all ready to fucking do something for 2 hours? Well, Sigma Chi's having this rave afterwards, right? So once the formal's over at 9, Maisie's brothers try to persuade her to keep partying with them. But Maisie's tired. She's like, just take me back to my sorority house. At 9:30, the Chapin brothers go to the Sigma Chi fraternity house on Nez Pierce. Xana's already there. And now remember, Bethany and Dylan were not used for this book. So, but Emily was. But Emily was working. And then Emily wasn't with them. So she doesn't know. She's not going to speak to something I think that she doesn't know. Because we hear, when they're breaking down, as you could see, it breaks down a timeline like this, which I love. So I'm pumping this all in to everything that we're doing. And so at 9:30, they get on over to the Sigma Chi house. They're having a big, I just call it a rave. They're partying. Xana's already there. The fraternity party at 10 is in full swing. Ethan wants his friends to enjoy it with him, so he's texting Hunter saying, where are you? To Emily and Hunter. Emily is in bed asleep, exhausted after her day of working at the football game. Hunter Johnson texts Ethan that he'll be over when she wakes up. He doesn't feel comfortable leaving her. Most unusual for a Saturday night, Josie and her man, Lyndon, are also home asleep at the Whites. So Emily and Josie, they're roommates. And they went hard for the previous 24 hours of partying. So yeah, so then 11 o'clock comes around. Ethan thinks about who else in his group is missing. His sister. So he texts her. Now at midnight in downtown Moscow, Kaylee and Maddie are together, jammed inside the corner club. Now I just have so many questions now about the Moyet sister. Remember, she was interviewed and she says to Fox or whoever the hell she talked to, she said, she said that a month prior was when the girls were no longer in Pi Phi. And I'm wondering if she's talking about Dylan and Bethany. that they left a month prior to that. Because, so I made a note of that, but here at midnight, that girl would have a lot of tea on this whole, hey, I would love to interview you now and ask you, hey, so what'd you think about 1122 King Road trolling you guys for your formal event? Like, how'd you guys feel about that? They were trolling their fucking formal. I'm sorry, but I love it. Okay. Because this Moye girl, she said she was out that night and she ran into them at the corner club. Obviously, Kaylee and Maddie. But who knows? Maybe fucking they snuck some underagers in there. I don't fucking know. So at midnight, the corner club is always packed, but on game day is heavily packed. It might be a windowless box, but it's Moscow's windowless box. This is a small college town where people look out for one another. Mark, the club owner, keeps a careful eye on the customers. He's been in business too long to make a rookie mistake. Underage students like Dylan and Bethany won't pass the Moscow cops' strict protocols about IDs. So I think that was their way of trying to say that they weren't there. A team of kids from Greek life work the bar discreetly, watching for anyone who's getting sloppy or might need help getting home. One of them is Adam, friend, fraternity brother, and roommate of Kaylee's ex, Jack. At 1:20, they say that the best friends have had enough. They're tired and hungry and more than a little inebriated. The I told Adam everything, Maddie says, of Kaylee's quandering with Jack. Kaylee throws up her hands, concerned that Maddie has overshared with Adam, the guy behind the bar. The friends swerve as they make the 8-minute walk to the main street where the grub truck is always parked. They need food. 1:30 a.m. at the grub truck, Kaylee orders what she orders. They know the guy in the hoodie who's standing behind them, Jack Showalter. He's an occasional visitor to King Road. He's a good guy, they think. He's a good guy, they think. What? What does that mean? I think that I told Adam everything was about how Kaylee was leaving. He's a good guy, they think. The girls flirt a little with him. When I'm reading this, I'm like, wait, what? The girls flirt a little with him. Who would have... Who's the source of that? Kaylee and Maddie, you're dead. Who? Was there text messages? Jack Showalter was not in. And then I was like, the source of that is the cops. Okay? The source of that is the cops. Dude, 320 people were interviewed for this book. And they did it, they multiple, it was multiple, they got some stuff wrong though, and I point out that when I go through it. So the girls flirt a little with him. Kaylee asks if he's interested in going to another party somewhere else, but he's tired. Bullshit. But he's tired. Bullshit. He was like waiting. If she would have been like, you want to go to another party? He's waiting there. Right? So check this out. And I'm over here making my notes like, well, the girls are dead. So who's giving this account of this? Like, so the girl's flirting with him. Kaylee asks if he's interested in going to another party somewhere, but he's tired. Speaking of, so are they. That doesn't even make any sense. Do you want to go to another party? But I'm exhausted. It's been a long day. They need a ride home. Kaylee texts a designated sober driver. Do you understand, based on this book, that Jack Showalter was not going to be their designated driver? Based on this book. And that would also mean that he thought that he was going to a party or something. Hey, like, do you want to go to another party? Because maybe they were going to go to the Sigma Chi house. Who knows? Maybe they actually did walk over there, you know? But because that's one thing I could think of. Kaylee asked if he's interested in going to another party somewhere, but he's tired. You guys, Did hoodie guy look tired? Why was he waiting there then for them? If you're just joining us, the best part right there, 1122 King Road House, Trolls, the Pi Phi Formal. I fucking love it. I love it. Based on the book, the driver was D. Barry. Well, not their driver. 150, Hunter Johnson texts Ethan to ask if he's still at Sigma Chi party because Emily is still asleep at 150. Kaylee and Maddie at 156 head back home to King Road. They chat in the living room. Now, this is where it is different from what is in the police reports. Okay. Mic drop, and I fucking love you. You guys have no idea how pumped I am the way this book was. Everyone's like, oh my God, this book sucks. You guys, I was like, no, dude. For me, this book is the shit because of the way that they made the book. It's in a timeline fashion. And that's what, so I'm comparing it to all of my stuff back in the day and everything that I've compiled over 3 years. And I'm like, okay, well, this is where, and then also with the motions and everything. So Kaylee and Maddie head back home to King Road. They chat in the living room. Do you know whose version of that's coming from? That's coming from Dylan, who told Emily. The name of the book is The New James Patterson. This is the one that Ann Taylor was like, we can't have these fucking hit pieces coming out. There's 320 interviews. You guys, this is a total violation of the gag order. This book is proof that they violated the fuck out of the gag order. I mean, it's so, what they're going to try to say is when we were talking to the cops, we were talking to them up and until the gag order. That's why Howard Bloom had a bunch of information. Okay. But I just believe that there's some stuff that would be, I can point out that's after the gag order. I don't give a fuck though, but the question is even if you got it, even if it was stuff before the gag order, then I think that just shows that there was no integrity with the case. So Dylan is in her bedroom, wasted. So the jurors would all see this. And I think this is, all you would have to ask these jurors though, when you're going through voir dire, it's actually, I think it would be a blessing in disguise. You just have to ask them if they've read this book, if they knew this book even came out. You're just wiping jurors out left and right. Do you watch Dateline? Do you have a Prime membership? I mean, so Dylan is in her room, wasted. Bethany is in her room, asleep. I said asleep. I said, what? Where the fuck was Bethany all day? You know what I mean? Where was Bethany? So 2 a.m. Ethan responds to Hunter Johnson's text that he and Xana are still at Sigma Chi. So here, I don't understand. The cops would have known like right away that Ethan and Xana couldn't have been home at 1:45 if there's a text at 2:00 in the morning that Hunter Johnson is in possession of saying that they're still at Sigma Chi. So here's the police. We're still trying to track down Xana and Ethan's whereabouts. They were just partying at Sigma Chi. What are you fucking talking about? This is what's the problem. Okay. Woman doing chaos. Dude, the Prime membership, it was just gonna wipe out everybody. That's why they summoned 10,000 people to be jurors. At approximately 2:15 a.m. And so I want you to take a look what I point out in this book. See, everything is very specific. It's at like 12. And it says like 1:30, 1:50, 1:56, 1:20. Okay. It's like really, then you get to this approximately 2:15. I'm like, oh, Lana just has to highlight that because that's the first time you're going to say approximately 2:15 a.m. Xana and Ethan return home approximately my ass. 2:15. Kaylee and Maddie chat on the couch a little longer and then go upstairs. Who's at 2:15, who's giving that account? Dylan's in her bed wasted, Bethany's sleeping, and everybody else is dead. Okay? So who's giving this account that Kaylee and Maddie at 2:15 were on the couch, except the only thing they could possibly get that information from is if you have phone data, like walking steps. Okay? If I go up a flight of stairs at 2:20 and I took steps before that, right? So Kaylee and Maddie chat on the couch a little longer and then go upstairs and collapse on Maddie's bed. Murphy, Kaylee's golden doodle, is in Kaylee's room. Kaylee often leaves him there when she's out. For the umpteenth time, Kaylee tells her friend she's unsure what to do about her ex, Jack. They start texting him. So now, remember how before it was just like calling him at 2:26? This book, okay, comes out and says, hey, there's also text messages. All right. So they start texting. He only lives 3 doors down. Kaylee misses him. She wants him to come over. Okay. Now, remember this channel told you guys that date that Kaylee would have had to have had where she tells that guy, fuck you and your quesadilla, shove it up your fucking ass, motherfucker, which I love. Go Kaylee. Okay. Well, that's a chapter in this book, and it happens in September, and this channel was right. I said, this has to be a date, somebody back home, somebody back in that area, not somebody, I think it was an older person, and it was somebody in the Coeur d'Alene area. Well, would Lana be right? She sure is. And you can find that in chapter, let me tell, where's my, I labeled it, Kaylee's bitch sesh. Chapter 14, Kaylee's CDA bitch guy date. So I want to take us there for a second because this matters. All right. Chapter 14. These chapters are really like small and cute, and I like it. My type of thing. ADD thanks you. Coeur d'Alene, September 2022. I was like, dude, fucking check. Kaylee stares at the guy on the couch incredibly, and as he says, as she's like thinking to herself, did he really just say that? Bitch, go make me a quesadilla. Wow. She wishes that she weren't at his house on this awful date. So she goes to his house. Again, it's in CDA. Okay. Bitch, go make me a quesadilla. She wishes that she hadn't broken up with Sweet Jack. Maybe she'd been too hasty. Kaylee has erased him from nearly all of her social media posts. That's normal protocol when couples break up. But now she's wondering if Jack might be the nicest guy on the planet. Okay. Jack would never have used the B word. So, Jack couldn't even be far from her when they broke up. Even if he felt any pain or animosity, he didn't show it. He's just so sweet. He's gentle. He still swings by the King Road house every few days to pick up Murphy, their golden doodle. She texts him about Murphy, telling him she's coming over with the dog or she needs him to come get their pet. But she's never sure if she's reaching out for Murphy or for herself. The truth is, Kaylee still loves Jack. She didn't want to hurt him. She didn't even want to part from him. So we said, I was like, I think there could potentially been a little cheating. Remember this older guy home, and why would Kaylee be up? I was like, why would Kaylee be up at the house, just hanging out at her parents' house when she has a fucking house that with her friends and partying and hanging out in Moscow? I was like, this has to be for a dude. Like that quesadilla date had to be up in CDA. That's the only thing that would make sense. Why the hell would you? Or there was some big blowout fight with the roommates, right? But why the hell would you not be? It's because you're hanging out with somebody else. Guy. Okay. Well, that's where it was. It was in CDA and it was a guy. And he had his own place up there. But she didn't want to hurt Jack. She didn't even want to part ways with him. She just wanted a chance to discover herself, to break ties before leaving for a new town in a new state. Kaylee's internship with Extreme Networks, the IT company in Austin, has turned into a full-time job that she will now squeeze around her classes. Now, something that I did not know is we all knew that Kaylee did that internship over the summer. But did we know that Kaylee worked at La Casa Lopez in Moscow? Do you guys know that? Because that was never been said, that Kaylee was working at La Casa Lopez. La Casa Lopez, a Mexican joint in Moscow. And she was spending her own money, $300 a week on a gym membership and meal prep plans. Now, take a look at this. If you go and type in La Casa Lopez, okay, I immediately was like, holy shit. Do you guys remember that WSU, the guy, the neighbor that they thought broke in and was like coming to attack that girl? You guys remember that? And we put out the body cam and was going around. You guys remember that? I was like, oh my God. La Casa Lopez. I was like, dude, I want to know if that fucking dude, I know that he was working at a couple different places. I want to know if that guy ever worked there. But I had never known that she worked there. Kaylee worked at La Casa Lopez. And it's downtown. Upbeat Mexican restaurant features a standard selection of classic fare margaritas. Woo woo. Yeah, I've been working for 40 years and I cannot afford a $300 gym membership and meal plans. So when I saw this, when I read this, you guys, I'm like, oh my God, was Kaylee well on her way to be doing what those other girls started doing? They were all hitting the gym and fucking doing these meal prep plans, getting all buff and crazy. She now just looks at this jerk in front of her who just called her a bitch and told her to go make him a quesadilla. No one pushes Kaylee around like that, especially not a guy in a state she's leaving. Kaylee is an independent woman. She makes good money from Extreme Networks and from her trips and from her tips at La Casa Lopez, a Mexican joint in Moscow. I was like, holy shit, I did not know that she worked there, but like that's, I knew when you were talking about making good money, I'm like, bartending is how you make good money in college. And she spends her own money, $300 a week on the gym and meal plans. She knows she's looking her best right now. Kaylee doesn't like this guy. She doesn't need any guy. Well, except maybe Jack, who she's going to phone when she gets home. She's going to phone Olivia too and tell her all about this shit. She's like, she just was this dude one more time. And she's like, what a prick. She's like, you can go make your own fucking quesadillas, bitch. She gets up, grabs her purse, and she walks out. On the drive home, she looks forward to the weekend back on campus and reenacting this scene for her new roommates. Who wants a margarita right now? I do. Anyways, if you're just joining us, love it. Kaylee, Maddie, all the Idaho4, plus Dylan and Bethany troll the fuck out of the sorority house, and I absolutely love it. It is chapter 18. And then when you go back and look at all these pictures, I mean, James Patterson's not going to come out and tell you that they trolled, okay? But you could tell that they trolled. They did not go to any official formal. They weren't even in the sorority anymore. And basically, that Moye girl is basically saying that I believe that Bethany and Dylan left the month before. Okay, that's who she's talking about, that the girls left the month before. In my opinion, that makes the most sense. They're moving into that fucking house. Okay. And Kaylee and Maddie refer to these sorority motherfucking girls as mean girls in the book. And I'm like, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Now, there is times that I come across things in this book. I've read all 40 435 pages, and I've made notes where, you know, I'm like, yeah, no, that's not accurate. That's wrong. But anybody that would read this book and you read the sections about Brian's MO, Brian's thing was that he would go and break into people's homes, steal shit to sell for drugs. And according to this one guy in here, he claims that Brian was responsible for stealing $30,000 worth of shit. And I said, what the fuck? I said, what? I'll tell you what chapter that's on. It was Brian, and the guy calls up the police, and he's like, hey, I want to reopen up my after Brian got arrested. He calls up the police. He's like, hey, I want to reopen up my that criminal case. I know who did it. Now. I was like, dude, I couldn't even believe this. Oh, and tonight I'm doing, hopefully we have a bunch of creators that pop up. I mean, even if it's just me, I'll make you guys laugh. I promise you that, because in this book, Steve Gonsalves fucking tears Moscow's ass open, and I love it. Like, he is telling Bill Thompson that Ann Taylor is kicking your ass. You're just taking it. Like, everything that we thought was going on. Because I would have been saying the same thing. I'm like, well, what the fuck is, Bill Thompson's not he's not cross-examining any witnesses, So y'all think he's innocent. That's not what this is about. Read the title. Is it about guilt or innocence? This is about fucking, you just spent 3 years of your life on a case, don't you? This is about situations that happened in the case that you didn't know about, or you had, okay, hey, do you think that this is what happened? Well, here, there's stuff right here telling us what's up. And so I created a really good timeline over the years, and I'm using this to either add to it, or, hey, we got conflicting things, and where the sources are that it's conflicting. Chief Fry, here we guys go. Chief Fry says, fuck you, mainstream media, on page 233. So take this, mainstream media, and pipe it. Layla, thank you so much, $20. Emily, $3, thank you so much. I tried to set these to notifications now. Layla, $20 for happy. God, what did it just say? Emily, $3 for happy Lana. My friends just actually texted me to talk about, hey, do you want to meet up at Taco Nice? I was like, right now? How do we know it's factual? I went through, and you can kind of tell when James wants to do his little exaggerations, but I've been following this case for 3 years like a microscope, and it's just, you want to just put it on a timeline, and whether or not it's factual or not, you're citing a source of where it's coming from, okay? And then hopefully when I get to make all these requests as soon as this gag order is lifted, we're going to be able to get more stuff. And all you're trying to do is get all the source points and to see where sources are doubling up with, like, here, yep, that's a source. It's a reliable source. But right here, Fry replies, they will know when we make an arrest. I have lost all respect for the national news and media. All it does is hurt the families and gives people false information. This is my notes. Fucking A, boom, Fry. Look at that. Fry. I love it. You guys, let me tell you what's another amazing thing about this book. When James Patterson's writing this book, you have all these people that you're interviewing, okay? Nobody knows what's going to be in this book, and nobody knows how it's going to, like, come out, all right? And so the past, since it came out on the 14th, even people that were sources in this book, okay, for the first time, you're reading this book, and now you're seeing what other people were saying about you. Like, oh my God, fuck you. Like mainstream media for the first time gets to read. Fry replies, they will know when we make an arrest. I have lost all respect for the national news and media. All it does is hurt the families and gives people false information, in quotes, false information. Well, Fry, boom. It's in quotes. Oh my God. Chief Fry was getting dick pics. Chapter 71, November 20th, 2022. It's been barely a week since the murders, and the chief has received maybe 500 emails from strangers about the case. Some good, some bad. Some are very bad. One guy who says he lives in California writes that he's going to appear in the police station parking lot and take him out. Then the same guy sends him dick pics. I mean, Chief Fry is the source. Chief Fry got dick pics. You guys, this is great. Happy fucking Wednesday. You guys better be joining me tonight. Tonight, bringing it. Chief Fry getting dick pics. Nothing better. At night, the chief keeps 12 gauge shotgun in the bedroom. A woman emails and tells Fry that she knows the truth. He's the murderer. Look at this. A woman emails and tells Fry she knows the truth. He's the murderer. And he's going to frame someone else in order to look good. These people are fucking idiots. What a bunch of dumbasses. Many people claiming to be in law enforcement write and tell him that he's screwing up everything. Fry, it says, Fry is used to hate mail, although not this much all at once. Just some funny extreme. What's up? What else was pretty good? Dude, Chief Fry had no idea who was even running around his office. He when he had to call in like the FBI. By the afternoon, so this was on, what day was this? November 16th, okay? Bill Thompson, by the way, would never ever attend press conferences, and here's Bill Thompson, right? Fry is just trying to do his job, and his job until now has been to catch the bad guys, not feed stories to the press. But he's learning the hard way that apparently feeding stories to the press is now a major part of his job. Irritatingly, there's the inevitable question about Art Beggett's statements. The mayor has called it a crime of passion. Is there any indication that this is true? Well, we're looking into every aspect of this. I'm not going to speculate whether it's one thing or another. His audience can see how uncomfortable he is. Worse, his audience isn't confined to this room. This is being beamed to TV screens across the country. His own mother is watching. Someone brings up the Twitch video mentioning the Gonsalves family has verified Maddie and Kaylee are in it. Fry tries to sound a lot more patient than he feels. And then right here, we are aware of that video, and it has helped. Why was there such a long delay before they were called, the cops? Are they suspects? The one reporter refers to them as witnesses. They are now in a dangerous territory, Fry knows. Bill Thompson will be bristling. Protect the investigation. He says, Fry goes, I don't think I ever said that they were witnesses. I said they were there. When he gets the question about whether that his interviewing boyfriends, it comes almost as a relief because he knows how to answer that. And then after this whole press conference on the 16th, what Fry doesn't realize is that the country's true crime internet mob will now take it upon themselves to look into anyone and everyone. Because he said they're not, they're going to look into everybody. He's also going to have to deal with the onslaught of hate mail, trolling, and worse. It goes back to trolling. That's why I wanted to talk about this. Dude, 1122 King Road, trolled the fucking sororities on the November 11th, and I love it. Cheers. They will begin to fear not just the darkness of night, but day, light, and social media too. Some nutters, look at James Patterson. Some nutters. these words. Some nutters will even accuse Fry of being the murderer. Okay, Justin, you sick bastard. Even accuse Fry of being the murderer. He's highly visible. By the next afternoon, November 17th, Chief Fry sees at least 10 FBI agents scurrying around. Okay, ready? He goes, "Do I know you?" Chief Fry goes up to one of the FBI people and was like, "Do I know you?" He asks when one of the female agents introduces herself. She says, "No, sir." She replies, "But I've seen you on TV." He doesn't even know who's in the fucking building. We don't even know that answer. I don't even know who's here. Fucking shit was just crazy. But in this book, it is interesting because he I think it's pretty accurate when he's talking about some of the stuff. In terms of like he only wanted to bring in the FBI for just like he wasn't looking to. He knew once the FBI just comes in, they just do whatever the fuck they want, you know. So another thing about the house that everybody was always wondering is, and so were the girls, the surviving people, is everybody that would ever go to their house, everybody always knew to go to 1122 King, you walk around and go through the back. Okay. So they were saying if he was after Maddie or Kaylee, why did he kill Zan and Ethan? This is them talking, like Emily and the rest of them, Josie, whatever. Had he been upstairs all night? Dylan thinks maybe he was. Dylan thought maybe he was up there all night. That's coming from Emily. Dylan thinks maybe he was, but how did he get in? The lock on the back sliding door is broken and was broken. Until now, that was quite useful because their parents and friends knew how to get into the house if they didn't have the code to the front door. But how did he know that? Like, that's what all these kids are thinking. Like, how did he know that, though? Emily asked what Dylan did after she saw the killer. Dylan explains that she raced into Bethany. So 2 weeks after the murders, Dylan and Emily supposedly talk. Now, the reason it's important to know is that Dylan is Emily's little, or was, in the sorority house. So Emily's her big, Dylan's the little. Emily asked what Dylan did after she saw the killer. Dylan explains that she raced into Bethany's room and slept there. She says she was scared, yes, but she hadn't wanted to trust her own instincts. Emily doesn't blame Dylan for not telling herself at the time that she was drunk, tired, crazy, hallucinating. But she can see that Dylan, Bethany too, is likely headed into a shitstorm of pointed fingers for not calling the cops sooner. Emily doesn't blame her little for bolting herself in with Bethany and falling asleep. She too would likely have second-guessed herself in the same situation. So her maternal protective instincts kick in yet again. She decides she's going to go to do her best to defend Dylan in the next coming days. People come and go at all hours of 1122 King Road, she later explains. Your first reaction if you see someone at 4 a.m. just isn't going to be, oh, here's a guy who has come to murder us, right? We all know that. I agree with that. Common sense tells you, oh, it's just someone visiting. But common sense is an approach this group has now dispensed with over the next days and months, all they will feel at night in the darkness. So check this out. It was said right away to Emily in this group that Dylan saw a firefighter. That wasn't something that came out like, based on the interviews and based on the motions and stuff. This group of people and how this book explains it and how they explain it is that Dylan said that the person that she saw was a firefighter. And now that makes so much more sense why they didn't want things to go over the radio. I think they were like, what the fuck? Are we dealing with somebody who's in law enforcement? But that isn't something that came later on. Like that was early on. The person that she thought that she saw it looked like he was dressed like a firefighter. I'm curious to know how when you read this, if you're one of the people involved and you're reading this and you get to see like, oh my God, this is what this person thinks of me. Like it's just that's what would be wild to me. Here's a good part. Yesterday, this was on November 14th. Yesterday, Fry saw a guy. So think about this. On the 13th, so this is from on November 14th, that's the day that Fry is now saying yesterday. So that'd be November 13th. Yesterday, Fry saw a guy in an FBI jacket at the King Road crime scene. Okay. Probably there at the invitation of ISP, he assumed. It wasn't one of the guys he knew well. And I'm like, who the fuck was that? Because I know who he's thinking that he knows well, which is the Ed Jacobson guy. So who the fuck was there from the FBI on day one that wasn't one of the normals? As it happens, that same agent is now standing in the briefing room at the police station with the lead from the state, ready for the 8 a.m. meeting on the Monday. We've been trying to get a hold of you, the agent says. I know, says Fry. I've been a little busy. Need us to come in? Both men understand the protocol. The FBI cannot officially assist on a case unless the local police chief explicitly asks them to. Well, then why the fuck were you there on why were you there on the 13th? But here, Chief Fry, this person who walks up to Chief Fry, and he sees on the November 14th at 8 a.m., he had remember seeing him on the 13th that was there, and he was at the crime scene on the 13th. But he didn't know who that person was. Like, he wasn't one of the regulars with the FBI task force that the Ed Jacobson dude. And so Fry says, yes, says Fry, and fast. And with that, the FBI special agent in charge calls his boss, the regional special agent in charge, and the government machinery clicks into gear. The scale and speed of it deserves respect. In Salt Lake City, Utah, and elsewhere around the country, an operation begins to unfold. Fry imagines dozens of agents leaping into planes that will bring them to Moscow, Idaho. In the station briefing room that morning at 8 a.m., Fry and Bill Thompson are technically the bosses, but right now they're staying out of the way as 3 law enforcement representatives, one from Moscow and one from ISP and one from the FBI, stand at the whiteboard, and they're the ones in charge right now. With the FBI, the task force is now composed of approximately 45 law enforcement officers from local, state, and federal agents at that point. It's a tight squeeze in that room with a few folks standing at the back, but all eyes are forward as the leads divide them into teams. And so they put certain people in groups like, here's the victimology. Here, you officers are doing victimology. You officers are, Detective Vargas, Lawrence, Mowry, Payne, and others did the interviews. Here's our team of forensic people. Here's, you guys are going to be the video and the local CCTV. You guys are going to go out and get the neighborhood canvas and go get us those, videos. Tip management team, note taking. So, anyways, we're going to get into a lot of things tonight. Join me tonight. But today, this live, I just have to give props for the trolling ability. Kaylee and Maddie were fed up with the sororities, with their respective sororities. They were fed up with the chapter leaders. They were fed up with the presidents. They were getting ripped off left and right. And it was becoming mean girls. And they were like, this isn't what we signed up for. We're fucking done. And Maddie and Kaylee, they were done with their sorority at the end of the junior year. If not even before then. And same with Xana. She was done. Question is, I would love to know if Emily left. It doesn't really specifically say that. It just says upperclassmen. So, and then the big question mark is Bethany and Dylan. How did they live in that house? They would have had to stay with their sorority until the end of the sophomore year. You also have to have so many service hours, and then you still have to pay in dues, out dues, and stuff like that. When you join a cult, though, no joke, man, you ain't getting out. But all the dirt you would have on people, yeah. But they trolled them on November 11th. They had their own fucking formal. They got all dressed up, but they knew that they were going to have like their own formal. But the people with the pie, they're thinking that these girls are going to show up to their formal and crash it or something. And who knows? Maybe they did. Maybe they did. But Dylan putting that Bethany was, or that Kaylee was her +1, that was to freak out the pie-fies because they never went. They were never going to go. They just wanted them to think that. And so they were putting all this stuff and posting it to social media. They were trolling them. I fucking love it. I love it. But think about how that would then play into the investigation. Think about how that would have played into the investigation. Then you got these Venmos at 3:30 in the morning talking about whatever's going to go down at 3:30. It's so convoluted. It's like, okay, is it just a coincidence? Because right after these girls do this, they're murdered. Nuts, right? They were tired of the BS. They were also tired. Kaylee, good for her. Kaylee called up the chapter president and was like, why are you guys basically ripping us off? It's COVID. We're not even allowed to be living at that house. And you're taking our money from, like, you're charging us like we're living at that house when we're not. Why are you doing this? Kaylee called up. And so, and she did that her freshman year in March of 2020 when COVID happened, which she's absolutely right. Fuck. Can you believe that you even have the audacity that you're going to, what are we paying for? Oh, we have to pay for the mortgage? The what? The fucking, come on. What kind of bills? Like what's going on? It should have been way reduced, but guess what? The house was like, yeah, nope. We don't care that it's COVID. You're still having to pay, and you couldn't live there. And you're doing all your classes via Zoom. And then when they all came back in August, y'all had to have masks on, and they couldn't hug each other. Kaylee was pissed about the no hugging. And they had social distancing. Frats and sororities, they are. They totally are. This book, though, you guys, I'll break down a whole bunch of stuff tonight. My top 25 moments of this book, which obviously trolling's in there. But one of my top 5 is Steve Gonsalves literally fucking ripping Bill Thompson's asshole over and over. Like his quotes in here, like "fuck you, Bill." Now, did you guys know that according to this book, that it took Brian Kohberger and his dad 4 days to drive cross country? Dude, that's a long time. 4 days is what they're saying. You know, it took them. It was a 4-day cross country trek east from Pullman. Why did it take them 4 days? Where were they sleeping? In their car? In a hotel? In multiple hotels? At restaurants? Like what? 4 days to do that trip? It does not take 4 days. You know, were they like 4 days? So, anyways, he literally, dude, kudos to Steve. He fucking eats Bill Thompson's ass, and Bill Thompson bites. Bill Thompson's over here doing. I just can't wait to talk about this book. stuff's just coming out, you know. It's just the chapters about, oh my god, one of the guys in here that was one of Brian's like cohorts in the program. His name's Ben. He's gay. He's gay. And Brian was like asking him like, yeah, so you seen anybody? Who you talking to? You seen anybody? And Ben was, because he was interviewed a bunch of this, so we're going to go into that. And I was wondering if Brian knew that Ben was, because he never told him. Ben never told him that, like, what his sexual preference was or whatever. But Brian was trying to hang out with him. and so that, like, it's interesting to me because if Brian supposedly hates gay people, okay, he was just like inviting himself over and hanging out in his like fucking kitchen one time. The kid asked for a ride home, or Brian was like, oh hey, I'll just give you a ride home, I got my car here, I'll drop you off. And Brian was like, oh hey, can I use your bathroom? What? Dude, you're gonna be at your place in like fucking 5 minutes, right? Oh yeah. And then he didn't leave. Brian didn't supposedly leave. He came in, used the bathroom, and then just wanted to keep chatted up with gay Ben Gay. I'm gonna call him Ben Gay. Ben is gay, and I love it because it's just, this book's great. I like this book. Big fan of this book. So join me back tonight, 8:00. Okay, guys. I think I'll enjoy it. I think we'll have, like I said, some moments in true crime deserve when you can laugh, and Bill Thompson eating that ass. I mean, Steve Gonsalves eating Bill Thompson's ass. So but yeah. Sound good? Sound great? Let's do it. We'll be back at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go ahead and click that thumbs up, thumb down. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of the videos. Much love. We love you. Ben Gay, I hope that you let me interview you. I hope that everybody comes on. I just fucking come on. Like, I want to interview Emily. I think Emily's fucking hilarious, and I think she's real. And you guys, when I'm only repeating what somebody tells me, I'm not the liar. This is what this broad told me. Same thing with Kaylee's parents. Kaylee's parents saying that she's going to the formal, yeah. Kaylee told her parents that she's going to the formal, but the cops are probably like, your daughter didn't go to fucking formal as a +1. What the fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean? And these cops are probably like, God, Kaylee her parents had no idea what she's doing. And yeah. I love it. All right, guys, we'll see you tonight. Peace out, Girl Scouts. Bye.